Good morning. I just want to thank you for watching this. I'd love to know if you're here live or if it's the replay. But my name is Ellen, and if we've been friends for quite some time, this may not be news to you, but it might be if we're just getting acquainted. And so just wanted to kind of give an update and to share what I've been learning. I've been encouraged to not wait for perfect, but to learn out loud. And so this week I'm learning to wear Invisalign. That's what I'm learning right now. This is called Invisalign Touch-Up. And to be a good candidate, you literally just need some slight work done. I would not call this slight, but the orthodontist did. So I'm having my teeth touched up. I've been having a lot of clenching and thankfully no grinding at night, but I have a lot of tightness and tension in my shoulders. And so I'm also collecting extra food particles in my lower teeth. So nobody wants that, do they? So that's what I'm working on. But I met with my health coach yesterday and her mentor, who has always helped me to push it to the next level, whatever it might be. And I've been challenged to commit to the full journey. And for myself, I can't speak for anyone else, but for myself, my mind was the last to come along in allowing me to get started on moving forward in my health, and in allowing me to move forward again now in 2022 and where I'm finding myself. So she said, it's time to tell your whole story, the full story, the whole thing, using your voice. So I'm using my voice, and I want you to see my eyeballs, okay? I am contending to become the very best version of myself as I believe my Creator formed me to be. To live into my full potential, to use my full set of gifting, and that my knowledge, my skills, my abilities might be in the service of humankind. And I know that to be someone who leads others, I must look inward and lead myself really, really well. And I've not been doing that. It's easy for me to slide into sometimes some negative self-talk. Anybody out there relate? It is pretty simple for me to begin to compare myself to those around me, though I know better. Anybody? Maybe I'm the only one. It's also easy for me to say, you know what? I'm not getting where I want to go because I can't see it. Maybe I need a new prescription. And so I'll just stop. And I was convicted the other day in a training I was on that one of the worst things we can do as we're trying to grow is to start and stop a whole bunch of things. Start and stop, start and stop. That's a great way to burn your goals down to the ground. So I'm choosing today to learn out loud. So I'm learning that I've stopped too soon, way too often. So I'm still going. I just finished working out with my trainer this morning. I'm still in recovery. It's been 12 months now for lower body weakness. That's just what it was. I got really soft and really weak. And it's been, a journey, just like everything else, to recover and to build muscle mass back. And I feel like I'm starting to see some progress. And it's important for me to recognize that, right? Even on Tuesday, I did 3 sets of almost 5 chin-ups. I did the first 2 sets, and the third set I couldn't quite finish, and it made my eyeball feel like it was going to explode. My husband says that's how you know you've had a good workout, but I don't recommend straining so bad that your eye bugs out. But anyway, I am making strides, and so I thought I would do a 3-part series because honestly, and please don't let me lose you, honestly, the story is too good to minimize. It is too remarkable, the growth that I've experienced, to just do in one fell swoop. So I want to honor the whole journey. I want to honor the pain. I want to honor the victory. I want to honor the old me. And I want to celebrate where I'm going. So I hope that it will add value to your life. So where I was is where I'll begin in my physical health. I grew up a military kid, and we moved around a lot. And because of that, I was able to experience and observe many different cultures out west, in the South, abroad, in Europe, up north, in Alaska even. I've been to Hawaii just on a visit, but I've seen many, many different cultures, and it's been fun to experience different forms of tourism and recreation and food and leisure and language and just all the things that go along with meeting people in different places. And it wasn't until I was about 10, I guess, that I really found an activity that was me, and that was the water. I quickly fell in love with all things swimming pools. And when we moved to California and lived in the desert, I participated on the swim team. And I learned to love being a part of something bigger than myself. Though it's an independent activity and your head's underwater, I really enjoyed the team atmosphere. But if you've ever been swimming for more than an hour and a half, you know that swimming produces a voracious appetite. And so that's kind of where my journey of gaining weight, I think, began, if I trace it back. And we all can trace it back. I had great levels of fitness, high levels of fitness and activity, which then allowed me to develop a concept that I could eat most anything. And let me tell you, I could. I could eat and eat and eat. And when I met my in-laws, they said that's how they knew I was a good fit for their Michael, because I asked for seconds on my very first time in their home. Not my finest moment, right? But I really enjoyed eating. I always have. And I've always been a member of the Clean Plate Club. Maybe you were taught that also, to have gratitude for the food on your plate and to finish it up. Even in college, I remember trying to get my money's worth for my meal plan in the cafeteria. So those set up my habits for adulthood. And just like for many of us, maybe you too, life begins to happen and we settle into a job, into growing a family, into responsibilities, maybe climbing a ladder, maybe going back to school. And it's just a natural happening, a natural occurrence that we don't have the same amount of time to dedicate to lots and lots of fitness. And so then I began to see if I could swim off or run off or dance with Zumba off the calories, right? I tried to outrun my fork. In about 11 or so, I was teaching 6 Zumba classes a week. It was crazy. And I did it because it gave me the accountability. If I was the instructor and people were waiting on me to get there with the key and the iPod, then maybe that would be the answer to my waistline, to managing my calories, right? I also signed up for my very first half marathon, having never been a runner. Who does that? That's really weird. Well, I thought maybe this will be the solution. Everyone talks about that runner's high. Everyone says that you can eat anything when you run. So I did that. Sign me up for that. And then the next part of my story is that I've always loved people. I feel compelled to respond when I see a need, like deep needs. It burdens me. When my mentor asked me, what are the things that make you smile? It's the water. It's chlorine. It's sunshine and palm trees and the smell of sunscreen, especially that body oil, that the Hawaiian tropic. I love that smell. Those are the things that bring me great joy, and when people feel good about themselves. And she said, what are the things that bring you great sorrow? And for me, it's when people feel unseen, when people are lost and lonely and abandoned. It just tears me up. So I felt the call, just purely a calling. And you can see I get upset. In about 2009, that we were to grow our family. But I just knew that there were countless children who already existed and who were unseen and who needed what I knew that Michael and I could offer. So, not knowing what we were doing, we jumped in and we began to explore international adoption. And I'll just tell you, it wasn't meant to be. And the turmoil and the hardship that we experienced trying to get a certain country, I think we went through 4, to find us to be acceptable, it was hard. Felt some rejection. Well, I know now that was happening for us. We wound up in a large room full of people, and that room got smaller each week as we went through our foster parent training here locally, and eventually opened up our home to children in need and became a foster family. And in that season, I was still doing all of that physical fitness to maintain my waistline, to maintain that number on the scale. My goal was to lose the weight, but I just thought, well, if I can just not gain any, that'll be fine. This will just be fine. I'll just be fluffy, or I'll just have tight clothes for the rest of my life, and that'll be fine. Well, along came our first placement, our second one, our third one, and you may not believe what I'm about to tell you, and it might cause you to either think that I'm crazy, or it might cause you to say, gosh, why would she do that? Or I will never be able to do that now that she's told me. But not once, not twice, but 3 times with each of our 3 placements, we were reported to the powers that be for treating their children in an unethical manner. They reported that we were abusing them, and we were not, absolutely not. So I thought, why is this happening to me? Here I am, I care about these people, I care about these babies, I'm caring for them, I'm holding them, I'm feeding them bottles, I'm up in the middle of the night, I'm going to work in the daytime, I'm taking them to visit, I'm taking them to the doctor. We're doing 3 and 4 appointments a week, trying for our darndest to get them, well. And that was happening. And I thought, well, gosh, why is this happening to me? Why, God? Why am I trying to help people, and in turn I'm being, whatever you want to call it. I could say a lot of things. Stabbed in the back, or punished, whatever word you want to use. But I now know, in hindsight, it was happening for me. Those fires that I was walking through, those trials that we were enduring, was for me. How can that be? Well, it wasn't happening to me. I was not a victim. It was happening for me. That I could realize that it wasn't going to be in my own strength that I served anyone, that I was literally just a vessel, a conduit, a tool that God could use to take care of the needs of somebody in need, of the least of these. And each of those 3 experiences did not end in a way I would have ever dreamed or wished, but I was available. and I know that it happened for me. Well, along came a few more who needed a safe place for a season, and I began to realize that that was my role. I was just there to give structure and love and provision until better arrangements could be made, or until they needed me more. And finally along came a little tiny guy, and it was real apparent early on that he was going to be my boy. From the ICU to bringing him home, to taking him in an ambulance back to the ER, to all the things that we walked together through, I began to realize what all the hard was for. And it would be that he would join our family. And so I continued to do the best that I could to exercise. And so to back up a little bit, what was happening in my body with all of that stress, and we know it's a chemical called cortisol, I was beginning to, on the inside, not be able to cope. On the outside, I was still coping a little bit, but I was irritable. I had incredible inflammation. When I look at the pictures, my face was so puffy, you couldn't spin the ring on my finger. My feet were absolutely killing me. I could barely walk. And I was in my mid to late 30s at this point. And so that didn't make a lot of sense to me. I had personalized inserts made for my shoes. I had special house shoes. I had special day shoes. I had special dress shoes. I had shots between my toes. That's awful, right? I was seeing the podiatrist, the chiropractor, the physical therapist, the massage therapist, and no longer able to run. And so you can imagine that the method that I had been using to manage my waistline was no longer working. And something was boiling. I was getting up to a boiling point where something was going to have to give. And so that is part one of my story. And I'm going to end it there because you've been patient to watch. And it feels good to share. And so stay tuned. I'll do another live very soon, probably tomorrow, maybe in the next day or so, as I feel led to share what happened and how I found breakthrough. And just to wrap up, sometimes that breakdown that we're experiencing is not happening to us, but it's for us, so that we can begin to find the breakthrough that's just right on the other side. Thanks, y'all.